All right, guys, welcome to the podcast. It is another day to discuss a lot of things dog. And today I've got two different topics that I want to talk about. One is the Tattletale mentality that's going on sites like Nextdoor. And the other one is this whole issue with, flying with fake service animals and all that. So it's going to be a fun show, a lot of controversy. Probably won't be pulling a lot of punches on this. But the good news is that the show won't be interrupted with a lot of commercials because of my sponsor, Visionary Pet Food. Visionary Pet Food is a ketogenic, natural, all fat and protein diet that is very low in carbohydrates and sugar, very healthy for your dog. They make three great products. There's the keto kibble, there is the keto raw, they're raw patties, and also a really amazing food, and that is the freeze-dried. I use this a lot of times as treats. The dogs love it, and I feel good about feeding it because it's natural and it's ketogenic. Consider using the coupon code on my site. Try ketogenic food, Visionary Pet Food. Great food. If you want to feed your dog what I feed the ketogenic diet. So let's start out with this whole nonsense that's been going on for so many years, and as people flying with all these crazy animals, peacocks, cats, guinea pigs, potbelly pigs, birds, all service animals, right? Because people are always saying they need their service animals, their emotional support animal, and it can't just be a dog. It's got to be some kind of a crazy animal. So it's gotten completely overboard. And what's happened a lot lately is you're seeing things like planes having to detour because a dog blew an anal gland. You're seeing people getting bitten by fake service dogs. You're seeing dogs urinating in the airplane. Dogs completely out of control in the airplane. And I just got forward to this thing from Janet, this news thing, and I'm going to read a piece of it to you. It says, the U.S. Department of Transportation is putting an end to the melange of pets people bring on planes as emotional support animals. It's decided that only dogs can fly as service animals, which is a really good idea. I'm going to get into that in a second. The rule aims to settle years of tension between airlines and passengers who bring their pets on board for free. That's the key word here, for free, by saying they need them for emotional help. Under a long-standing department policy, all passengers needed was a note from a health professional, which is complete BS, right? We already know that. Airlines argue that passengers abused the situation, which they obviously did, to bring a menagerie of animals on board, including cats, turtles, pot-bellied pigs, and in one case, a peacock. It's absolutely ridiculous, right? So, let's look at this for a second. We all love our pets. We all love our animals. We all want to be with our animals. I want to be with my dogs all the time. I don't want to send them, to a boarding place. I don't want to leave them at home with somebody. I really want to bring them with me. And that's my issue. So when I can, I take, we've taken Boz on trips with us because we can take him, we can check him on the plane. I'm saying check him with us on a plane, and he'll sit on the plane with us, and we pay the $125, and we got the crate that goes under the seats, and I've done videos on that. You can watch those. But when it comes to a bigger dog, right, a dog like Goofy or Maya or even Dwayne, you can't take him on the plane. And the reason you can't take them on a plane is because it's a safety hazard. So I have this huge issue. They tell you to put your laptop away when the plane is going to take off or land, or when you hit turbulence, in order to protect passengers. So we're trying to protect passengers from a laptop flying through the airplane if we hit turbulence or something happens on takeoff or landing, not to mention a 60-pound dog. So it is a huge hazard to have an animal like that on board, especially if the dog flips out when there is turbulence, and a lot of animals will. If you ever notice, a lot of dogs have issues with thunderstorms and sounds and movement. If you put them in a crate and move them, they have huge issues. So now you have the dog on a plane, which is basically a crate at 35,000 feet with 100, 200 people in it. It becomes a huge danger to everybody involved. If that dog becomes triggered, the dog becomes spooked, something happens, you get into a situation where the dog can't control itself, and all those things really do happen, right? We don't want to admit it. We always want to think our dogs are perfect, and I've flown with dogs. I've flown with other dogs, other people's dogs, and I've seen them going nuts, just barking, acting like idiots, and nobody likes it. I mean, nobody likes your kid screaming on the plane, let alone a dog. A kid we have to let on the plane. But there are options for dogs. So we can check a dog as cargo. It's a very safe thing to do. And whenever somebody says, well, you know, dogs have gotten lost, dogs have gotten killed in cargo. Well, dogs have gotten killed being on the plane as well. I can give you a couple examples of that. Namely, one when the stewardess put the dog in the luggage bin up above the passenger and the dog died. So there are those inherent risks, but we don't currently live in a society that allows us to just travel with our animals. Sadly, I think really airlines should do their part and really should set up airplanes where there is a crate on board for several animals, maybe like have 5, 6 crates and let people buy a ticket and put their dog in the plane with them in a crate. Your dog has to be crate trained to be on a plane. That's it. And this whole lie of, oh, it's a service dog, it's an emotional support dog, it's a PTSD dog, and it's this, that's that. For those people who really need that, I get it. They should be entitled to it. But for all the lying, manipulating, conniving people who lie in order to get their dog on board, I have a real big issue with it. I have a huge issue with it, and I've gotten into it with people because it's a lie. And you're not in need of a service dog. Your dog is not a service dog. Your dog was not trained as a service dog. It might be a really nice pet, and I get it. You love your dog. And when I call you on it, you're going to feel bad, and you're going to say, oh, you know, it is, though. And then you're going to have to get into your defenses, and you're going to have to be strong, and you're going to have to make sure that you win the argument. You're going to have to make sure that you get in my face about it. But you know the truth. Because I'll tell you this much. If you have a service dog, that means you're going to take that service dog everywhere you go. You cannot go anywhere like a blind person can't go anywhere without their service dog. But you'll notice people who have fake service dogs, if they're going on a really nice vacation to Barbados, they don't need to take their service dog because at that point they might not need their service dog or their something alert dog, whatever it is. Granted, I understand you have a right for a service dog if you have a legitimate issue that is manageable, treatable, or helpable by a service dog. That's the key, right? Just because you have epilepsy or something, God forbid, and trust me, my mom is crippled, so I have a lot of sympathy for handicapped people, but I have zero sympathy for people who lie. Because you love your dog, you think your dog is capable of telling you when you're going to have a seizure, or when your blood sugar is low, or when your PTSD is going to kick in. Look, there are a lot of people, veterans who served our country, and I respect people who serve our country immensely. Everybody knows that. But those people require a service dog, and those people should be provided a service dog, and those service dogs should be allowed to fly on a plane. But just because you say, oh, I have anxiety, I can't fly, that's BS, right? Because I guarantee you were flying before you got a dog and it wasn't that bad. And if you have anxiety and you're training your own dog, which a lot of people are saying they're doing, then you don't have the ability to get that dog to the level where it needs to be to help you. Take, for example, a seeing eye dog. There's no blind person training their own seeing eye dogs because they're not capable of doing it. In order to train a dog for a service, it more often than not, and I'm not saying 100%, but I'm saying more often than not, which is more than 50%, needs to be trained by a professional, by someone who understands it, who trains these dogs day in, day out. And a lot of these dogs fall through. There was an organization that I worked with for a while, back with Through Bound Angels, and they were really screening service dogs to use them as real service dogs. And I can tell you that most of the dogs that they looked at flushed out. I can tell you that most dogs for Seeing Eye Dog foundations flush out. So when a person finds a dog that they really love, either from a breeder or from a shelter or whatever, and then they think that dog is going to be a service dog, it's next to impossible. It's next to impossible that you as a lay person are going to pick out that dog and turn that dog into a service dog. Now, that's all my take on the service dog issue, which is a huge, huge issue. But let's delve back into this idea about these people with all these different animals, right? All these different, a pot-bellied pig. Oh, well, pigs are just as smart as dogs, but they're really not. right? A pig can do anything a dog can do, but it really can't. Right? That's the hype of the animal people telling you that, oh, if you love a dog, you shouldn't eat a cow. And I get the logic. I get the compassionate argument on this. Trust me, I was a vegetarian for many, many years. But the lie remains the lie when they say, well, my peacock is my emotional support animal. Well, you can't do that. Right? There are certain regulations. You have to follow certain rules. There are rules, and rules are there for a reason. And you have to follow them. So if you're flying on an airplane and their rule says you cannot have this and this for a service animal, then you can't. And if the what organization is this again? I forgot. The Department of Transportation is saying we're going to make a law on airplanes that you can't do that, then you follow those guidelines, right? That's it. If certain airlines say you can't fly with a pot-bellied pig as your service animal, then that's their regulation, and you gotta follow their rules. And if you don't like those rules, then get in a car and drive, get on a train and ride, or get on a bicycle and pedal your way across the country. But a company is allowed to have its rules to protect its customers and to protect itself. That's a really important piece. We've kind of become this society of people who just have to argue at every single corner. We have to say, well, this, no, that. And that really drives me batty. Everything has to be a counter to something else. And there's where our society has really gone astray. And it's become more and more and more argumentative, more and more demeaning to people, more and more insightful and hateful and angry. And all of that is really causing a downfall in society. And pegging it on something like this is a really good idea, a really good metaphor, I should say. Because if somebody's bringing a pot-bellied pig onto an airplane, claiming it's their service animal, the person is obviously trying to stand out, right? There's no way you can tell me that a dog could not perform that service, because dogs have co-evolved with humans. Pigs are not a domesticated animal in that sense, right? They're domesticated in that they're farm animals, but they're not domesticated in the sense that they live in homes, and some do, I know. But every time somebody says, well, you're wrong because I have a pot-bellied pig and it can do this and that, and that's great. But that's the rare exception. It still does not give that animal, or I should say, it doesn't give you the right to use that animal as a service animal. You've got to follow the rules. Now, you want to start training pot-bellied pigs and make sure that in 10 years, pot-bellied pigs are the go-to service animals for seeing eye. You have your own seeing eye pig. Great. But right now, we haven't proven it. And until it's proven, until it's authorized, until it's put through, it's not going to happen, right? It's just not going to happen. I don't want to fly in an airplane with somebody with a stinky pot-bellied pig next to me, or with a peacock, or with some, with a turtle or something like that. Dogs are domesticated enough to coexist with us. They've co-evolved with us for a long time. I feel comfortable if somebody has a legitimate service dog to sit next to that dog. If it's a fake service dog, I can tell, because a real service dog is going to mind its own business. It's going to sit there. It's going to be a really well-behaved, well-intentioned, well-serving creature. And that's what it was trained to do. And that's when it's a service dog. And that's really it. So if you can't follow those rules, if you want to make up your own rules, if you want to go through and subjugate everybody, that's a problem. Because in a society, we want to live together. We want to get along. And we want to make sure that we follow some basic guidelines. Right? Guidelines are there to protect all of us. So that's my take on that. I think it's a great article. I read it on scmp.com. I think it's the South China Morning Post. I don't know I don't know how they got the story about the U.S. Department of Transportation when I haven't read it on any American news stations. But still rather interesting to me that that's something that's going to go into effect. It can't go into effect soon enough. And they got to enforce it, and people who are going to say, well, I'm going to sue, this whole sue-happy idiots need to mind their own business. It's really, really, really terrible. Just understand, this is the rule. You got to have a service dog to get to have a service animal for it to qualify as a service animal. That's it. Simple as that. Those are the rules. Now, on a second note, Janet and I were talking this morning, as we talk every day, And she was telling me she read something on Nextdoor. Now, Nextdoor, those of you who hate the gossip of Facebook, which I hate, I mean, I'm not big on any social media. Honestly, social media to me is a place that I can put my dog training out there, help people with their dogs, but all this personal stuff and this vitriol of tearing people apart and all this, I hate it. I think it's really, it's so ugly. It's so ugly. Now, if you want to take it to the lowest possible level, go to Nextdoor. Because Nextdoor is one of the most vile, angry, immature, idiotic group of people that you've seen. They're just so angry. They're just always screaming and bitching and complaining and this and that. They're angry morons, right? It started out as a brilliant idea. You know, we're all neighbors, and those of you who are not in the United States, and you don't, maybe you have Nextdoor overseas, I don't know. But, you know, your neighbor is there, and you can, oh, you know, there's an accident here and there, be careful. Or, oh, hey, we had, somebody stole our garbage can, has anybody seen it? Though the idea, its inception started really good, as I'm sure I would like to think Facebook, but I doubt it. It started as a really good idea and a really good concept to help people. But it's turned into such, I mean, I don't look at it, but Janet looks at it. When she tells me about it, I just cringe. I just think, my God, your life is so short, and if you're going to spend it on Instagram, on Nextdoor, you got a huge problem. I mean, you're just going to be an angry, sad, pathetic person. So anyway, so she read this thing on Nextdoor, and it was some neighbor reporting another neighbor and said, oh, this guy has a Labrador or a golden retriever puppy who was outside in the yard, and there was a bunch of coyotes surrounding it. And, you know, we need to report it to an animal organization, and we need to take the dog away from him. We need to rescue the dog. We need to, you know, hijack the dog, liberate the dog, they call it. And I've worked with animal rescue organizations, and I've seen animals liberated from abusive situations, from dogfighting situations, from starvation, from isolation, from all these kind of things. This is not the case, right? And somebody else then posted, and just I'm getting this all secondhand through Janet, that the person is having a hard time, he's going through tough times, and maybe that's why he's doing it. And just imagine somebody's going through a tough time. Maybe they just lost a person, a good friend, a family member. Maybe they just lost a dog, and they've got this puppy, and the puppy is outside, and it gets surrounded by coyotes. Now, the dog didn't get killed. The dog didn't get attacked. Nothing happened. The coyotes were scared away, and the puppy's fine. But then to take that person's dog, the anger, the meanness to hurt somebody so bad as to take something that they love. And if you love a dog, you need to put that love onto somebody else. You need to understand that that immense amount of love you have for that animal can also be expressed by somebody else, that somebody else might actually be loving a dog that much. And maybe this person made a mistake, maybe he didn't, I don't know. But the fact that you're willing to take that animal away from them, steal the animal, and the animal might be very attached, the dog might be very, very attached to the person, and you're going to steal it away and then put it in another home, right? Of course, it's a golden retriever, everybody wants the dog. Oh, I know somebody who would take that dog. Oh, I know somebody who would take that dog. Well, you know what? Get your own dog, right? Mind your own damn business. The person's doing their best. If you see somebody, you know, beating up a dog, kicking a dog, punching a dog, drowning a dog, abusing a dog, something like that, go in there and do something, right? Do something. This is what we've really lost in society. We report, we tattletale, we keyboard quarterback these situations and say, oh, you know, we should do this, we should do that. The old society of going over there and knocking on the guy's door and saying, hey, I see what you're doing, get out of there, and stopping it, that's gone, right? That's really gone. We've evolved into a society of tattletales and name callers from behind a computer. It's pathetic. So this whole idea of reporting people and going, you know, behind their backs and doing this, and you'll see all this anger. I mean, I hope you don't ever go on Nextdoor. I really do. I hope you never, ever decide to do it. I got an account on it because somebody was saying for dog training back when I was doing private clients, said, oh, you should be on there and this and that. And I set it up, and I think I logged on once or twice to my account. Now all I see is these idiotic things. Oh, I'm looking for a psychiatrist. Any referrals? I mean, if you're getting your referral for your psychiatrist through somebody on Nextdoor, you're going to need more than a psychiatrist by the time you get through. I think it's lost what it was for. I think the initial idea of the site, of the platform, was a really good one. But to see people with this anger, there was a post that Janet told me about a few months ago where people were angry that people were taking poop bags and putting them in their trash. They were saying, "Oh, don't put your poop bags in my trash." And last time I checked, trash cans belong to the city or belong to the sanitation company picking them up. For you to say you're not allowed to put your poop bag in my trash is idiotic, right? It's just, again, the society we've evolved into. And maybe this isn't really a great podcast about dog training, but it's a great podcast about behavior, human behavior. And the human behavior is really what dictates the way we interact with our animals, and it dictates how our animals are raised and how they evolve. So if you're one of these crazy, nutty people who is, so busy keyboard quarterbacking about all these crazy, insane things, check yourself. Just check yourself really quick, because if that's what you're doing, you need to stop. You need to get a life. You need to go out. You need to make friends. You need to train your dog. You need to walk your dog. It's the same dopey idiots who get on my Facebook page and say, "Oh, why you're torturing your dog by putting it on the treadmill," not knowing that the treadmill costs over $2,000 and is there to enhance the dog's health, to enhance the dog's fitness and stimulation, to get the dog in better and better shape in a much safer way. It's much safer for me to run my dog on the slat mill I have, which is a self-propelled, self-regulated machine that the dog controls the speed of and can totally stop, than running the dog in a field throwing a chuck it, right? Because when you throw the ball, the dog is always twisting and turning, and there's a lot more danger that can happen to the dog doing that than to spend 10, 15 minutes on the slat mill. So anyway, that's my take on all these things. By the way, remember, today's podcast was brought to you by my good friends at, there it is, Visionary Dog Food. Smart dogs eat low carbs, and that is something I agree with. My dogs are all on a ketogenic diet. They love it. This kibble is really good. This is the beef formula. This is the one I feed. In fact, we're going to be opening this up tomorrow and feeding it to the dogs. The Visionary also makes a really, really good ketogenic raw frozen food, which is really good. And they make a fantastic freeze-dried food that I love. And the good thing about this freeze-dried food is I use it as a treat, and it's super healthy. It's the best thing I've found as far as treats. Super natural ingredients. Visionary pet food. I love it. I love it, and I use it. So you know you're getting what I'm using. So let's keep this in the shot here, so you know if you want to check out Visionary Pet Foods. By the way, check out my website, and you'll get a 20% discount code on your first order. Totally worth it. They'll ship it right to you. So let's take some questions from members, which is always one of my very, very favorite things to do. The first one goes out to Zubair. I think that's right. Hi, I think my question would be irrelevant here, but my 6-month-old German Shepherd puppy has started to poo in the house. However, he has had the proper routine to do potty outside. Well, the reason he's doing poo inside because you are not following through on the proper routine to get him to poo outside, and that is you're not paying attention to him when he's in the house. So when he goes from the crate, which I'm hoping if you say he's got the proper training that he was crate trained, and if he was crate trained, then you know that the next thing you're going to do after crate training is to keep an eye on the dog and always watch the dog when the dog is isolated or alone. So that's what I would do. I'd fix that and you'd be fine. Joy asks, hello, hugely respect your work, and I'm applying it to my 2-year-old leash reactive Rottweiler and having amazing improvements. Was wondering if dog protection attack training could help dogs control their drive. Understanding when to be alert and when to be more relaxed would be amazing if you talked about it. Well, yes, I mean, obviously it is, but protection training takes a lot out of the dog. It's a really tough thing for a dog to do because it takes a lot of strength, inner strength, super confident, and dogs really should be bred for that sport. If they are, yes, it does put them in check when they should be reactive, when they shouldn't, when they should mark on behaviors, when they should go into protection mode, and when they shouldn't. So if your dog has the drive for that and has the constitution for that, it would be a great thing to do for them. But if they don't, just do some obedience training and don't expect too much for the dog. Remember, I always say, you got the dog you got, make the most of that. Next question goes out to Arul, who says, Is it good a 2-month-old Labrador puppy to climb stairs? It's not the climbing the stairs that's dangerous, it's going down the stairs forwards that puts a lot of impact on their shoulders. I always try to be careful with stairs with younger dogs because sometimes they can trip, they can fall, and falling down the stairs would be a huge problem because then you could have some spine injuries and other injuries. So take it easy, 2 months old, help the dog up and down the stairs. Make sure the dog's at least on a harness or something so you can kind of lift them and help them. That's Bosnian barking. Shannon and Brendan ask, we have a 3-year-old Malinois Catahoula mix. The rescue company who got him told us he was part German Shepherd and Catahoula, but after a year, we've come to realize he has all the Malinois tendencies. He's intense, doesn't focus well, yada, yada, yada. I'm going to try to get to the question here. How do you get a Malinois to mix to have focus out in public when all he wants to do is hunt and go ballistic at other dogs that are ever in a set? Well, you're going to need to focus on basic obedience. The basic obedience is going to solve all your problems because once the dog understands what you're expecting from him, that's what he's going to do. It always goes down to the basics. Okay, Craig says, Sadie is my service dog, and she has assisted me a great deal. I'm 100% disabled who relies on a service dog. And my heart goes out to you. God bless you, brother. About 2 days ago, I let her out the door of a friend's instead of running to my truck and wait to get in. Goofy, stop. She took off and would not respond to the recall. So my question is, what can I do to fix that? I've obviously messed up. Well, you haven't messed up, but the training has messed up, and she needs some distraction training, and you're going to need to get somebody in there who can do that with you. It's going to be very, very hard. If you're 100% disabled, it's very, very hard for you to do this on your own. You need to get somebody in there with you who can proof it, who can interject distractions, and get the dog back to par. I really, really hope you do that, and you didn't screw anything up, but all service dogs need to go back in for tune-ups every once in a while. So anyway, guys, that is the show. That is all I got for you today. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have not yet subscribed to my online dog training, I suggest you do that because there's a lot of great stuff at robertcabral.com. Boss Man's barking. I got to take him outside. And that tells me it's the end of the show because Boz is barking. It's time for him to go out. Time for me to end the show. I'll see you guys next week. Take care.